Well, you just caught part of the third round coverage of the Bahamas Great Exuma Classic. Mark Anderson on the tee on the par 3 second. What an iron shot. Sticks it. That would lead to a birdie, part of a solid third round that he put together.
On the PGA Tour, welcome back to the stage, Phil Mickelson. We haven't seen him since the final WGC event of 2017. Lefty making his 2018 debut, the Career Builder Challenge in the California desert.
While over on the European Tour, Rory McIlroy is playing his first event in nearly 4 months. He's headlining the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. We're going to have more on what to expect out of the former world #1, plus web.com tour highlights as Golf Central post-game is coming your way right now.
Golf Central.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us on Golf Central postgame. That is a look at the leaderboard as it stands in the Bahamas. The Great Exuma Classic, the 2018 web.com tour season opener. I'm George Savaricas, joined by a cast of characters in just a bit. We're going to have much more on this season opening event and the third round in a moment. But for now, let's send it over to Lisa Cornwell.
I guess, does that include cast of characters? Lisa
You make the list.
Brian Bateman, we'll take that as a compliment. Brian, the guys in the Bahamas, this web.com season opener, really trying to navigate these high winds, and it was having its toll today. What did you notice in coverage of round 3?
Well, they got a bunch of rain starting the week, so the fairways are at least a little bit soft. And anytime the fairways are soft, it allows you to navigate a little bit easier when it is windy. But these greens are paspalum surfaces, which is a wider bladed grass, as we all know, which makes the speed normally a little bit slower. So the players have got to be aggressive. The most difficult part for the players with slow greens is to stay still and hit the putt solidly in the wind, and that's what we're seeing a lot of today. Not many scores low today. There's a few players trying to go deep, but there's going to be a lot of players that have to play quite a few holes tomorrow that are going to lead into the final round.
All right, let's go through some of those highlights in the Bahamas, and I'm sure we'll see the wind blowing. Let's start with Dan McCarthy, his third at the par 5 first.
Perfect example there, Lisa, right in front of the green. Tight lie off the paspalum. It's a beautiful pitch to about 2 feet.
He'd make that and get to -9. Mark Anderson, his tee shot at 2.
Great rhythm in that golf swing there. These par 3s on this golf course are not very long, but they're very demanding, especially when the wind blows, and that's a great shot by Mark Anderson to about 4 feet.
Certainly is, but definitely no gimme. Here's the birdie try.
And you need to convert if you can. You can see perfect pace, perfect line, perfect 2.
Yeah, I really like watching the speed on that putt. After a penalty shot on his tee shot, McCarthy now is 4th at number 5.
Well, we've talked about the areas around the fairways, penalty-wise. There's trouble on both sides of a lot of these par 4s and 5s. McCarthy found some trouble off the tee. Short sides himself there, down into the swale, had to get up and down for double bogey.
Yeah, he dropped to -6. Matt Ryan here at the par 4 7th.
Great rhythm there in that chip, and he likes it. And he should.
Yeah,
tap in par.
He thought he made it. I did too. He's at -3 at that point. Back to McCarthy, his second shot at number 6.
Now you're seeing a lot of these tight lies around the green. That's an example there where at times there could be some longer grass, and that was beautifully judged as well. He almost chips in, but he does save par, stays at 6 under par.
These guys having no difficulty around the greens. Anderson, his third at the par 4 7th.
Well, the greens are fairly flat, so that without the lack of undulation, that's the reason why you can be aggressive on these pitch shots. Once again, a tight lie, you can control the spin, great chip.
And again, not an easy putt, but he would make that to stay at -7. McCarthy for birdie at 9.
And there you go, another putt, another birdie putt. Left hand low, right in the middle. It's all about the speed on these putts on this paspalum.
Certainly is. That would tie the lead for him at that point at -7. Here's a look at how things stand. It'll be a long Tuesday for the players on the first couple pages of the leaderboard, unable to finish round 3. You'll get to see it all unfold tomorrow right here on Golf Channel beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let's talk about some of these guys in contention and why you think they are playing well on this golf course, starting with Mark Anderson.
Well, we get a lot of talk about the web.com and the young players right out of college or in the early 20s. But Mark Anderson, 31 years old, has really never had much of a chance on the PGA Tour. He's only played twice. But I like seeing these older players that really never give up. He did have a win back in 2013, but you can see never really had much success on the PGA Tour. Did play last year, finished tied for 10th at Puerto Rico. Didn't get through the Web.com Tour playoffs, but it's not all about the 21, 22, 23-year-olds in the Web.com. There's some great veterans that are playing, and this is the perfect week for someone like that, like a Mark Anderson at 31, to play well this week, maybe possibly win, and then get back on the PGA Tour where I know he wants to be.
You were talking about some players or the difficulty going low today, but there were a couple players making a run. One of those guys, Jim Park.
Yeah, Jim Park's another one, 38 years old, played at Arizona State. He's another player that spent majority of his career on the Web.com, has 230 career starts, best finish on the PGA Tour, finished second back in 2010. But he's had some difficult years as well. But once again, you have a player that has spent the majority of his career on the Web.com, but has the game to play on the PGA Tour. We're seeing it from Patton Kizzire, who's in his 30s now, who had some success on the Web, now having success on the PGA Tour. I just think it's good to see these older players still grinding it out against some flat bellies.
I was not expecting you to go there. It threw me off just a little bit, but we will look forward to the conclusion. What to look for this week? Well, there is plenty. We have a lot going on around the globe. George, take it away.
Yeah, Brian Bateman throwing you a little bit of a screwball there. So here's what you can catch this week. PGA Tour with the Career Builder Challenge. Phil Mickelson, first start in 2018. Patrick Reed, another past champ in this event. John Rahm, third-ranked player in the world, going to the California desert for the European Tour. Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, and it's world number 1 Dustin Johnson in the fold. Rory McIlroy making his return. Asian Tour, also with a strong field. Everyone's teeing it up all over the globe. Got Louis Oosthuizen, the Masters champ Sergio Garcia, and Pat Perez, who is 16th in the world at the moment. He's making the trip for the Singapore Open. Got the squad all here. Matt Adams, Jaime Diaz, Tim Rosefort. Let's focus on Rory, guys. He made the announcement last week about the heart condition he had battled, then put out the Instagram message later. Don't be overly concerned. It's just regular checkups every 6 months. What do you make of the condition that he has, and then where his focus is going into the season?
He says it's something he has to keep an eye on. He says he's going to have to get an EKG done. He's going to get an MRI done. These are things that he says he would do anyway, but he's going to continue to do them. I thought it was interesting. There was a great article today that Will Gray wrote on golfchannel.com where Rory thinks he may be playing upwards to 30 times in 2018. Wow. I think the thing with Rory McIlroy is that we always focus on his putter, right? We look at that as his Achilles heel. I think with Rory McIlroy, that focus is a little bit fuzzy. It's a little bit off. His putter is, it's the weakness of his game. I get it. I understand that. But he succeeds in spite of his putter. In 2015, he was 125th in strokes gained putting. In 16, he was 135th in strokes gained putting. In those 2 years, 4 wins, 3 wins. Last year, he was 140th in strokes gained putting. What was different with last year? His proximity to the hole from 125 to 150 yards. Wedge in hand, soared. He went up to 190th in that stat. So you can get by, he's proven it, with a bulky putter at times. You can't get by when you put more pressure on a bulky putter. So I think Rory now, he's fit, he feels good, he says everything is working for him. Got to keep an eye on that heart condition, yes. But everything else is very, very good. He's had the time to practice, get used to the new equipment. I'm looking for big things.
I think I totally agree that he's looking for big things from himself, and he's very motivated. I think he's got to overcome some technical areas in his game, in particular ones that just lead to what I would call soft bogeys. Okay. And that's simply those things that are unnecessary, unforced errors, what they would be in other sports. He hits beautiful drives, he hits okay approaches, maybe it runs off the green because he went at the pin a little much, and suddenly he walks away with bogey because he takes 3 from the edge. And that happens a lot with Rory for a guy of his caliber. And I think he's got to really focus this year on playing clean rounds as much as possible. You know, keep your birdies. He makes plenty of birdies. His stats over the years have been, you know, low scoring, like last year's 6th in scoring, but 59th in bogey avoidance. The year before that, 46th in bogey avoidance, 6th in scoring again. The one great year he had, statistically, 1st in scoring, 7th in bogey avoidance. So, you know, Trevino used to say, keep your birdies. I think Spieth's good at this, saving par. Rory has not been, and that's, I think, the huge challenge going forward.
George, I think he's got to show us what he's got, but I think he's got to show himself what he's got. And this break may be the best thing for him, both physically and mentally. He seemed like a little burned out, a little, you know, having issues with injuries, obviously, that go back to the changing of clubs and equipment. So an interesting time for him at 28 years old, you know, where he is right now. Obviously incredibly talented. And but you know, until he gets out there, and you can say what you want about the putter, Matt, but you know, the putter has been the thing that really has kind of held him back in many regards. You know, especially on days when he's not exactly hitting the golf ball the way he'd like to hit the golf ball. But quite a dynamic figure, and you know, George, long term, you know, he may be smarter than anybody because he is stepping away. He did step away from the game for a while, and instead of going around the clock and then fighting, you know, the issues that players who play those type of schedules face. You know, let's see how it works this time. He's married, he's got a life. It's a little bit different for him than it was before. And let's see if that whole blend adds up to bringing Rory back to the level of play that he was once at.
Rosie, do you think that Rory feels somewhat left behind?
Sure. I mean, you're asking Tim, but yes, yeah. I think he's got a point to make this year. I'm sorry, Tim.
No,
go ahead.
Good.
No, it's simply that he knows what people are saying, and he had his era, so to speak, hijacked a little bit by Jason Day and Jordan Spieth. And I think it threw him for a loop. And now he's coming back with a new assault on #1 with some perspective and knowing what it's really going to take. So I think, you know, the motivation is higher than ever.
And that's a good thing. You know, it's good for golf and it's good for him because he is such a dynamic player. And let's see if he can do that and still, you know, be the husband he wants to be and do all the other things that he wants to do, because there is more to life than just golf for Rory McIlroy.
But if he comes anywhere within that number of 30 that Will Gray touched on, tournament directors around the world are going to rejoice.
Exactly.
A lot of Rory McIlroy in 2018. We still have much more to get to tonight. We talked about Rory's return. How's Phil Mickelson going to look at the Career Builder Challenge? The latest on lefty. Plus, it's rare Tiger Woods' star power is equal on the golf course. This weekend, 14-time major champ playing with the 44th president of the U.S., Barack Obama, at the Floridian. We'll have details on that and a look at some of the best finishes we've seen after all the drama that played out this past weekend at the Sony Open.
Golf Central is brought to you by the Hawaiian Islands. Visit gohawaii.com/golf. Golf Now's free mobile app includes GPS tracking at more than 30,000 golf courses.